Hey guys, welcome back. It's Stat Lee. In today's video, I get to sit down with John Crestani, and we get to hear about his journey becoming an entrepreneur, evolving to becoming an online educator, and he's going to tell us more about his latest venture, moving into the SaaS space, and everything he's learned in between. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hey John, how you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a while since I last spoke to you, or even like been able to message you. Last year's been pretty crazy with COVID going around the world, but it's good to finally get a chance to sit down and chat with you.
Heck yeah, man. It's good to connect with people in times like these.
So whereabouts are you now? Are you still in like the California area or?
Yeah, I'm in a Westlake Village. So, our house burned down 2 years ago. So we're in the process of getting our building permits and then rebuilding, which is pretty difficult in Malibu. So,
Yes,
but
I
yeah,
remember.
so
I remember that fire was pretty a pretty big one. But then wasn't there another recent fire like this year?
oh yeah, there are a lot of fires around Malibu.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like I saw one clip, it looked like it was like from a movie, man. Like how crazy it looked. There was like the fire, and I think there was a tornado in the fire like, going
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, because the fire jumps because the winds, when they blow, it deposits the embers like far away, and then it creates this like vacuum which turns into a tornado. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
So were you born and raised in the area, John, or
Yeah.
whereabouts did you
I
grow
was
up?
born and raised in Santa Monica,
Oh,
like near Santa
nice.
Monica.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, my dad worked in TV. And yeah, so, but growing up, I kind of saw that industry was just going through monster changes. The whole infrastructure of how that industry worked completely changed over my lifetime. And I just, getting into college and, around 2002, um, I kind of thought to myself, okay, I got into college 2006. Um, I kind of had an idea. I was like, I might get into this internet industry thing because it seems to be kind of a big deal.
So like when you're going to college, are you taking like business courses, or what type of courses were you taking at that time? And
Yeah, I was taking business and film courses. So I've always been interested in like film theory. The most interesting class I actually took was medieval Welsh mythology, which was just super interesting. And I've always been interested in kind of history and how it all worked.
so going from college on, how did you make like a jump, or how did you discover internet marketing?
So I discovered it. I mean, I'd been trying to do day trading for a while during college, and I'd make a couple $100 in a day, and then I'd go to the bar and spend it all just to see the next day the stocks would go down. I'm like, oops. But no, I mean, I tried, but I don't think I was, I didn't give it enough time to actually get into the get into the quantitative analysis sort of stuff. And I had done an internship at a company called Merrill Lynch, and just saw that the kind of traditional path through finance was very rigid and very kind of, pay your dues type of stuff. And I didn't want to pay my dues. I wanted it all right now.
Yeah, it's funny because
So,
when I finished college, the first job I got was at a company called Freedom 55.
uh-huh.
And it's kind of like financial planning, selling insurance and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I was there for like maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I quit.
Yeah. Why'd you quit?
Because I was looking at that. I think at that time I was maybe 23, and like
Mm-hmm.
the next youngest person was like 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm in training class. I'm sitting next to like these older people, and something didn't just sit right. It just didn't feel like that was the thing to do for me at the time.
Yeah. 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 I just remember dealing with like basically like 85-year-old clients and checking work. I wasn't really learning much. And but a lot of industries are kind of traditional in the sense that they have these big structures and you have to pay your dues, and, you aren't necessarily rewarded for performance as much as obedience. Yeah, so I don't know.
So you go there. So what was your big kind of break into the internet space?
Sure. So I started selling study guides around campus by putting up flyers. Let me find a example of a piece of paper. Basically I would print out the paper from the school printers, and then I'd put a headline at the top. I'd say something along the lines of, the winning headline. I'd say do better in your courses.
Okay.
I have a lot of the, sample quiz questions. I have a lot of, all these study notes that can help you. And I put these tabs at the bottom where you kind of use the scissors and kind
Yeah,
of
that's
cut. So
old
there's
school.
10
That's
tabs.
old school. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd put an email address on there, and and the idea was people would say, "Oh, cool, I want John's study guides," and I would, they'll tear a tab, email me, we'd arrange a meetup, and they pay me some money, and I'd give them my study guide. Well, what that evolved into was just on campus. Once I got the marketing working, which I remember my headline to this day, B plus or better in FIN 303 OL, which was the Gateway Finance course, or your money back guaranteed. Then it just said email me below, and it had those tabs, and that headline worked, and started earning me $10,000 a month, roughly while I was going to college, which was sick that I could do that. And it was all digital information. It was just a PDF file that I would transfer to folks, or PDF files. So I said, why don't I sell that? Yeah, what I had started doing was I'd started hiring kids from off of Craigslist to put up my flyers in various other colleges around that used the same courses, that used the same online courses. And I just said, why don't I just target these people on the internet? These kids are on their phones all day. Why don't I just throw them some ads with the same headline or something? And that's when I started, because I had also been driving. Every day I would drive to a different college campus and put up flyers and to generate more leads. So I started delving down the online ad thing to expand that business. Learned about WordPress sites, learned about Google AdWords, learned about Facebook ads, learned about all this stuff. But, I never really cracked it for the online stuff totally. I'd say I gave up partway through. But that led to, me being pretty knowledgeable about online marketing. I knew how to code and market and make ads. And it just kind of led to me getting jobs in internet marketing and eventually working for myself.
Guys, so you're doing that kind of part-time while you're going to school. And then did you end up finishing, or did you decide to leave early in school and then take a job, or what was the transition from school like?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I was doing that full time and I was doing school part time, because schools, they only allow you to take a maximum of 18 credits a week or something like that. So I just breezed, that 18 hours a week. You have a lot more time in the day. That's only a couple hours a day. So I felt I was working on my business more than I was working at college.
So what was the first job you got after college with an internet company? How was that like?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of I was trying to keep my business afloat. I was a medical guinea pig for a little bit after college. And then I kind of relented and got a job, and I was doing cold calling, 120 calls a day, selling SEO packages to basically business owners around the country, around the world.
And cold calling is a pretty good skill to have. Once you get
Oh,
over
it's really
that,
good.
once you get over that hump, it breaks a lot of people getting hung up on or getting yelled at or getting like discarded verbally.
I'd say the cold calling experience was probably the best business experience, or just gauntlet that I've ever been through. And I think it's completely invaluable to becoming an entrepreneur. So,
So how long were you with that company for selling SEO?
yeah, so I was in that position for 4 months. I never did that well in it. I broke my base. So I'd break my base after 2 months or so, but I never, it wasn't something I think meant for. What I'd started doing was I started just getting into the office around 6 a.m. and so I could end work at 3 p.m. And then I just walked down the hall into the PPC department, the guys who are managing all the Google ads.
Yeah.
And there are about 5 guys in the company at the time that managed Google ads for, their clients. And 5 guys, I'd say probably like 200 accounts, maybe 100 to 200 accounts, a lot of accounts, right, amongst a few people. And I just watch them. I just watch them. I just sit. When you're at a company, they allow you to sit and shadow people. So
Yeah.
I'd watch them for a while, and then then I started saying, "Hey, do you want me to do some of your work for you?" I'd look through. Then I'd start looking through their accounts and give them suggestions, and then they're like, "Hey, John, just do it. If I asked to do it for them," and they'd say, "Sure, whatever, do my work for me at night." So I do their work for them. They freaking loved it. And eventually I got hired in that department, and then became the director of that department, and started another department in the company, e-commerce data feed syndication. And I just got amazing results for every single client I worked with. That was my goal. If I needed to do everything I could to make every one of my, whatever it was, 40, 50 accounts, make more money with marketing. And I just got good at it, just through repetition and doing it over and over, 14 hours a day.
Yeah, that's a great lesson of just being curious and being willing to do more and not be compensated right away. I think a lot of people have an issue with like, doing things up front for like for low money or like nothing at all to learn and
Yeah.
then get rewarded like long term. I think people have a lot of a disconnect with that a lot of times.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, with these smartphones nowadays, you don't like something, scroll, don't like, you get 2 seconds to see if you like something. And if you don't want to talk to somebody nowadays, you just, block them. It's very kind of immediate satisfaction, very short term. Um, yeah.
So what are you up to these days, John? Like with everything going on in the world, what's your main focus right now?
Sure. My main focus is on really, I call it a pivot, kind of pivoting my company, what I would consider a training company, or, yeah, in that space, education, whatever you want to call it, into a software company. And not an easy thing. So, the transition to creating a software company, we have to find product market fit. And I don't know, it's one of those legendary accomplishments. And I mean, I'm happy to say we just brought on board the ex-CMO of both Zendesk and of Slack as an advisor to help us do that. And that was one of the things I was doing, is spending a lot of time researching identifying and doing outreach to folks that I believe would potentially help company find product market fit. So that's been consuming a lot of my time lately. I've also just been, hanging with my kids, been playing Gwent, which is like this little card game, in Cyberpunk 2077. I've been reading. I just finished a monster book yesterday, which was 1,000 pages, which was just super exciting. It was kind of about Isaac Newton and Leibniz. Their struggle over who was going to claim the invention of calculus.
Interesting.
I don't know. So, but I've been doing a lot of work. I've been doing a lot of work. We're scaling the company, I'd say 50% every month. We're scaling the revenues. So we're just in a really big scaling, stressful period, as well as a transitionary period to a software company. So it's pretty tough, but it's good work, and I feel like it's going somewhere.
So yeah, congratulations, by the way. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, we're excited.
So when did you figure out that you needed to pivot the business?
Um, I was looking at uh, the PE ratios of companies, price to earning ratios, and the companies that investors, some of the richest and smartest and most analytical people in the world, across the board, believe is the best type of business segment to be in is SaaS, is software. And I believe it's not just arbitrary. I believe the reason why there's such high, 10x revenue type valuations in SaaS is for a intelligent reason. And to go deeper into that, this is just, I love thinking about things, right? I sit in my bathtub and I just only one, I have only candlelight, and I just think. I'll think for an hour or two, and the reason why I believe the smartest people believe that software is the most valuable type of business model is because it's taking complex processes and making them simple. It's almost interfacing humans with computers better. And that's where we're going. And I like that idea because what I feel I'm doing when I'm teaching folks is I'm working very hard to take complex ideas and make them simple and easy to grasp, such as I teach people affiliate marketing and paid advertising, and very kind of theoretical concepts, making them simple. So I figured this is a great challenge to figure out how I can make marketing and just the creative aspect, creative aspect of it more sink in with software. So I think it's a good quality problem to focus on. That's one side of things. That's the towards side. The away side of things is I also see that, the competition to teach people is definitely increasing. There's a lot more people that are kind of throwing aside the idea of college as being their end all be all for advancing financially in their life. And but with the advent of all these teachers, it does make that model more, I see long term that's not necessary. The model is not necessarily for me to create my own university or create my own, conferences or seminars or stuff like that. because A, the competition, B, margins go down with competitions, and C, it's not, education companies aren't really, you kind of tread this space where, the establishment doesn't like independent, non-accredited educators. So I just kind of I want to go the easiest route that's going to fit in with society to make, to earn 200 million. And also education, it doesn't scale like that. The training companies, even the big trainers like Tony Robbins and Tai Lopez, Tony Robbins is different, but most of these guys, they cap out around 25 to 50 million. And it's kind of a pattern. And guys who try to go over that, get into 100 million zone a year, they end up doing things the wrong way. So I saw that as kind of like the cap in my industry is about 25 million a year. And given the multiples that education businesses sell for, it's not really going to be what is going to earn me 200 million.
Got it. Seems like a huge space to play in and try to dominate some space there. And I was going to ask you, actually, with what you know now and kind of like the way you see society progressing forward, do you think universities and colleges are becoming more and more obsolete, or do you think it's going to continue flatlining?
I mean, they're government endorsed, right? So, and they're an important conduit for the government to kind of get their thought leadership out to people. So, compulsory education definitely isn't going to go away. I don't really know what's going to happen with colleges. I mean, maybe colleges will become compulsory, it could go that direction. Could go that they loosen the regulations for what is accredited. Overall, I think people just don't really give a hoot about college degrees, employers. But if the government mandates colleges, right, there will be a lot more money there. I have no idea what's really going to happen, but I do believe on like a ground level perspective, you want to learn from people. I mean, it's going to be online. Like everybody knows that. I mean, actually going to a physical classroom and moving, I mean, it's kind of silly and unnecessary.
Like we have like so many different technologies to put
Yeah.
people together on on like an online platform, but still not the same though. You know what I mean? Like there's something different about being in person as well. I think there's a social aspect of learning.
Totally.
Because
Yeah, totally. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think the premier state for education is like 80% online and maybe 10% through kind of like live group webinars, and maybe 10% through like in-person conferences that happen, a couple times a year, or in-person, like small group seminars, maybe some one-on-one time. I think but I definitely don't think 100% in person makes any sense to anybody.
And I wanted to ask you, John, are you like, what type of development do you invest in personally for yourself?
Develop? Oh yeah. So right now, I'd say it's definitely like advisors. I've been spending a lot of money hiring people that are a level or a few above me to advise me and my company, which has just been ridiculous. So I've spent a good 6 figures this year there. I spent $100,000 last year to join a marketing mastermind called 100 MME. That was cool. I mean, I'd say so ROI. It's more of a group setting. It's not really individualized for, business and not ongoing, right? The thing I like about advisory relationships is I'm speaking to these like, you know, mega titans of industry once a month. And that's all, but it's ongoing, right?
Right.
It's regular. It's not just go to a seminar, hear them, you know, do a PowerPoint presentation and go home and meditate on it. It's every month they're, you know, it's they tell us what they think we should be doing, we execute on it, and then in the next month I say, here's our results. So it's really good. I kind of almost treat them like you know, almost like bosses, you know, like they're telling me the direction of the company. The other thing I invest in is this is time, is I am every week I'm spending hours watching interviews with successful SaaS, B2B SaaS founders, which is what I'm looking to become. As so I'm just, you know, I'll literally just Google search SaaS, billion dollar SaaS companies, and I'll just look up all the founders with the word interview at the end on YouTube, and I'll just, you know, I'll put 50 or 100 in a playlist and just kind of go down through the list and watch those interviews, and they're long and they're boring.
And are you
But
looking for
that's,
like one nugget or just one concept to turn a switch on? Is that what you're looking for?
yeah. I'm looking for nuggets, but I'm also looking for patterns. I'm looking to see, okay, like these 10 people more or less say this, you know, this one thing, long-term thinking, right? It comes up again and again, long-term thinking. Okay, you know, that's interesting, you know, and like some people will go, you know, Jeff Bezos talks about it a lot, right? Um, but what does that actually mean, right? And I'll hear different people kind of expand on that. So I'll say, okay, long-term thinking is a good thing, and here's a few people's, and you know, the interpretations kind of glom around this concept of long-term thinking, right? Or I'll look for things that, you know, maybe Jeff Bezos says something or another is super important, but then 10 other SaaS founders that are billionaires say that, you know, it's kind of a judgment call, right? So I try to pick apart what's true and what's not in terms of creating a successful SaaS company. What can't I deviate from? And I just kind of juggle all these concepts in my mind to try to determine our direction.
What's a conversation with your advisors like? Is it pretty intense? Is it like very thorough? Like, is it an hour? Typically, how long does it last? Like,
Hold on, let me move this. I'm just gonna put some shade in here.
no worries.
Um, yeah, conversation. I mean, they're loose. You know, sometimes it's just a text message like, "Yo," like, you know, like, you know, hey, we just doubled revenue this month, dude. Or, it could just be some, text message. You know, they're not always super formal, it might just be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking my next hire should be. I think I need to hire a chief marketing officer, but I need to have them focused around customer happiness and kind of more internal, less about acquisition and more about like creating referrals. What are your thoughts? And, they'll say, yeah, I think that's a good one. Or maybe they'll say, I think you really need a CFO, John. Or they'll say, I'm concerned with they'll say, before you do that, you should get a good law firm that specializes in tech, in tech companies. And given that you're trying to create a company that has, a valuation on it, I think you should use this law firm because they specialize in SaaS companies. So I say, okay, cool. Do you know anybody you can introduce me to? They say, yeah, talk to my boy, Joe or whatever. So that might be a conversation. Another conversation might be like, hey, I'm thinking of bringing this guy on as an advisor. So I'd ask my other advisors, I'd just text him. I'd say, this is his here's his LinkedIn profile. What are your thoughts? And they'll say, it's kind of odd. They're like, his resume looks great, but like, why is he at, he's at great companies, but why was he only at all these great companies 2 years? I'll say, okay, maybe he's hard to work with, or maybe that's a potential thing I have to look into. So that's kind of how our it's very casual, conversational. I bring up stuff, and they kind of, another example was, I said, hey, I'm concerned about my image and reputation as I'm getting more famous, or my ads where I pitch my book are all over TV every day now. And I'll, I'd say, I'm really worried about this. And the guy says, I think you should start a charity. And I say, that's a really good idea. I like that, So, I'm in the process of starting a charity, Warriors Back to Work. They say, John, you talk about making a lot of money. You should start giving away some money. I'm like, yeah, that's the best counterpoint. I'm talking about making money. I'm talking about making other people money. Well, I should give away some money. And so that's kind of like our conversations.
Now,
And
is it hard to get like an advisor on board, or like, to be a part of, your company?
It depends. You can, there's some really smart people you can just pay money to, and I pay my advisors at least $10,000 a month. So, it's not a activity, you're not going to get, it's difficult, right? It is to come up, to have that sort of free amount of money rolling around. It is difficult to get to that level. It takes time, it takes focus, it takes discipline to not say, okay, I'm making $10,000 extra month. Okay, I'm gonna buy myself a car. I'm gonna, work on, I'm gonna remodel our kitchen, right? Or I'm gonna, my little bro, just got laid off. I should give some to him, right? Those are hard judgment calls. So I'd say that's hard. But for the really big guys, like I had mentioned, they don't want just money. They want money. They want equity, and they want an easy person to deal with, and they want to see that they're going to work in a company where their equity is actually going to be worth something. So I'm basically having to pitch my company and myself and my team to these folks. The level, I guess I started with pain, and now I'm at the level where I'm paying plus equity plus having to pitch my company to get some of these folks on board. And because they don't just want the money, if somebody has $50 million, the $10,000 a month you pay them is just, it's just a formality.
Right.
What they're really interested in is the equity. And the equity being worth something someday. So you really have to do all the things to lead up to show that we are a company that is going big places. It has to be evident, and it all takes a lot of work. It's a stair step though. So
John, do you have any advice for anyone who's on the fence about leaving their corporate job, or someone who's gotten laid off due to COVID, or looking for a new opportunity, and they're thinking about, maybe this is the right time for me to start my own business or to do something online? You got any tips for them, or any advice you want to share?
I do. If you are not the best employee in your position in the entire company, or nearly the best, if you're part of a major company, then you should not even think about leaving your job. If you're underperforming, if you complain, if you find yourself complaining to friends or family or coworkers about the work you do at your job, then you should 100% not quit to become an entrepreneur. And the reason I say that is because if you are not a hard worker, if you complain about things, if you interpret situations that are obstacles you come across as you being the victim, The same pattern is going to happen when you start your own business. But the difference is, if you blame other people, if your business is underperforming and you blame other people, your business dies. If you have this dream of starting a lifestyle business and just prancing around, working when you want, and, you know, kind of just going with the emotional flow of life, your business is not going to do very well. I was always the best employee everywhere I went. I work very hard. And what I've seen of other successful entrepreneurs is, even if they put on the airs of them not working hard or being disciplined, they are. So I do it in my marketing, right? I'm driving around in Lamborghinis, flying around my helicopter and stuff. So that'll be my advice. My advice for those that are the best employees and are the best at what they do, or even if you're not, is spend time always making yourself better and more valuable in the marketplace. Learn new skills. You can learn programming, arguably the most valuable skill, for free. Just, you know, you don't need to know it all, just the basics. You just need to be able to talk the jargon so you can hire somebody in, you know, Ukraine or Romania or something. You need to know how it works. You know, how do you think about, how do I make my boss look amazing? How do I make my boss's boss look amazing? So I just, spend time learning. I'd say spend time, and my advice for learning is look at people that are two levels above you. And I'd say the easiest way to do that is, if you have 10,000 in your bank, look to somebody who has $1 million in their bank for advice. Or if you're earning 100,000 a year, look for somebody who's earning, $1 million or 10 million a year. It depends on what your goal is, right? Look for somebody levels above, that are clear levels above you. Listen to interviews from them. You can find anything. You can understand how Jeff Bezos thinks if you just watch enough interviews of him. You can become whatever person you want in business if you spend time to learn.
Model their thinking and model
their thinking. Yeah. It's very, I'd also advise, go to conferences, put yourself physically around those folks. If you want to become rich, surround yourself, go where rich people hang out, go to the golf club, spend the $40 tee-off fee, go to a fancy hotel bar. If maybe you're in Montana and you say, oh, nobody rich is out here in Montana. Well, maybe there's a resort, somewhere down the road that you and your friends don't go to because it's a resort. It's not, it's mainly out-of-staters. I bet some rich people hang out at the resort bar. You could just go there and buy a drink for a couple bucks. Spend $1 or $2 on a Coca-Cola and just meet some of the most retardedly rich people ever. There's always ways. You have to think not about the obstacles. You have to think about the path, and having a clear goal. My goal is to start a space company. That's why I need 200 million. Having a clear goal that's motivating, that's something you'd actually work towards, I think is very important. So, yeah.
Any books that changed your life at all, John? Any book recommendations?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, tons of books, man. I'd say the biggest that shifted my thinking was The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco. The Millionaire Fastlane. Great book. Really kind of goes a lot over leverage, using leverage in your, finding leverage areas in your business. So that the hours you spend each day are just maximized, right? That's why I love online advertising, right? It's a huge point of leverage, right? You can reach 1 billion people with just pressing a few buttons on your computer and a credit card. That book, yeah, there have been tons of books, but 4 Hour Work Week's kind of a good one in that vein. That was the one that changed my life early on. And I'd say The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is a really good book, just about kind of like not just taking the punches as they come, right? Bad shit's going to happen. Don't get hung up on it. Don't lose sight of your goal. Really bad shit's going to happen. Like super bad shit where you're like, oh my God, my entire family got hit by a meteorite and my girlfriends all left me and, I'm broke and penniless and like really bad, I don't believe in myself anymore. I lost my religion, whatever. A lot of bad stuff's going to happen. But if you never allow that to lose sight of your goal, and you just keep working towards it, you'll eventually get there.
Oh yeah. I mean, that is how life is. No matter where you are, what country you live in, like, bad things are going to come your way eventually. And it's really how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people
Totally.
that aren't able to deal with it are the ones that crumble under pressure.
Yeah. And I'd say if you crumble under pressure, it's not going to work out as an entrepreneur either, because you have to go through all that and then some to really give birth to a successful business. Mm-hmm.
John, so if people want to reach you or connect with you, like what's the best way for them to find you? Like online, YouTube, or
LinkedIn. I'd say send me a message on LinkedIn. That's the only social network I check anymore.
Got it. And are you still pretty active on YouTube right now, or?
Yeah. Well, good question you brought up. So, I mean, every day this year I've released a video, 5 days a week. And that's been hard. That's been super hard. I've been super burning out on that. And, but that being said, I think I'm still going to do YouTube in the new year. I think I'm just going to limit it to 1 video a week.
Right.
I mean, YouTube is a slog. If you're not having fun doing it, it reflects. It's like, the channel doesn't grow. And my channel's been growing really slowly because I'm not having fun doing it. But I think, I'm really going to use it as a supporting mechanism for getting users to our software, which I'm excited about. So we're releasing, our software releases to the public early next year. So I'll probably just shoot videos about how to use the software to market various businesses.
So
and I think that'll actually make it fun and useful for business.
You said you're doing one video every day?
Yeah, 5 a week. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I've been doing 5 a day for the last 2 years straight.
Yeah, that's quite it, because I do maybe once a week, and it's like not very like as long form, and it's not like really I don't have to like be on a script, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't have to do a lot of takes, but even like doing that, like to coordinate the time and to make sure that everyone is where they need to be, it takes a lot of time actually.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it does. I mean, it's gnarly. It's definitely good having an audience, but it's also kind of scary, the platform risk, because the amount of censorship that's been going on YouTube it's all the social networks,
right?
Is I got taken down for a whole week because somebody didn't like one of my videos. And then they reactivated it and said it was an error, an algorithm error. And it's just like stuff like that just sort of makes me be like, okay, like, am I really willing to invest a 3rd year doing a video every single day for a platform that could just snap their fingers and poof, I'm gone, and I have no ability to talk with anyone. Like it seems it's really scary.
Yeah, I think with a lot of these business opportunities and business platforms, there's always this risk of getting kicked off. Even like for like on Amazon or Shopify or any of these things, if they just want to boop kick you off, it's
Yeah.
there's no way to really defend against that.
Dude, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. But it is a very powerful platform. I think YouTube's an insanely powerful platform. If once you crack it, it definitely makes you pretty it gives you a huge mouthpiece. And for education and for educators, I mean, the future of education, where is it going? It's already there. It's YouTube. YouTube's the future of education. That's where people, I mean, if you want to screw in a light bulb, if you want to learn Facebook ads,
Yeah.
if you want to learn how to hotwire a car, it's all on YouTube. Um, if you want to learn anything, it's on YouTube. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, Google owns the internet, like in search, and then
Yeah,
YouTube's
they
like it,
do. Yeah.
right? So Alphabet is just crushing it with those two companies right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I just been starting like really following just a lot of just companies and looking at like some of their growth and like you were saying earlier, watching their followers. And one person I've been super impressed by is just Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He's just insanely hardworking, but ultra smart and ultra capable at executing.
You own a lot of Tesla stock, and I see the smile on your face. I'm assuming.
I mean, I own a little bit, but nothing like major. But like, I just been a long time fan of his, because again,
Yeah,
like a lot of people don't realize how long he's been working at it. Like,
dude, he's a beast. I'm interested to see where things go. I mean, I once heard this concept of 20 years. Like every great business titan has like a 20-year period where they do basically all their big work. And after that 20 years, and this was from another billionaire, an investment guy who said basically after that 20 years, these companies shift from being growth companies to value companies basically. Um, and I thought that was interesting. He's over his 20 years, so is Jeff, but it'll be interesting to see what goes on. I love Elon Musk. I mean, he is such a fascinating person. I mean, another thing I liked was in one of his interviews, he said, um, if you were the combination, somebody asked him, or if you were the combination of three people, who would you be? And he said, I think he said Edison, somebody else, I forget. And then he said Barnum and Bailey. I was like, Barnum and Bailey? Or P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum. I said, P.T. Barnum. But he loves a spectacle. He loves a good show. He loves a good presentation. He likes doing like almost like I love those things. Like I don't know if you saw his like a Neuralink presentation for the
Yeah,
three little piggies experiment, right? That one didn't go so well, but the point remained the same, is that he does these cool presentations when he announces new products, and even the theater that he does on Twitter, I think is fascinating. Just how he plays with investors' sentiments, and he's just able to snap just move his hands and like make the stock price go up or go this way, or I mean, it's just insane. He's got
he has like some. He's pretty sharp too. He gets like he's very witty. If you watch some of like the interviews he does with
yeah.
the competitors, he's just way more witty as well.
I don't think he's a genius or anything at all. I think he's I think he almost like sort of curated this semi-autistic like image of himself for years because he thought that's what people liked. And I think he's just a regular dude, but I think he's unbelievably disciplined, and focused. And I think it's just really what he's doing in space, I think, is the most exciting stuff. And I think you see a lot of these billionaires being interested in space because I really believe the only way to make a lasting impact as humans is just going up. We need to go up. It's the next step. It's the next stage of humanity. And it's really, I think a lot of these smart people are all arriving at the same conclusion. That's what we need to do. That's what we should all collectively be working on. And if, we don't need the government to say, oh, hey, the next space race, we don't need the government to say that. What we need to do is we need to say, okay, how do we progress humanity further into space? I believe, my research says you need $200 million to create a space company. The goal but that cost is going to go way lower in coming years. Every year, it's just like the amount of money you need to become a space entrepreneur. It's like just going down, right? It's like the amount of money it costs to start an internet business in the 90s compared to the 2000s. It's like drastic, right? You needed your own servers, you needed all this, you need a lot of money. But it's going to be the same thing with space. And I just believe it's going to be explosive innovation once that curve starts going down, you're going to see it. And the people who are getting in early, basically the people who are getting in the next 10 years are going to be in a position to be changers of the world.
Well, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are number 1 and 2 and richest people in the world, and they're both got space companies.
Yep.
All right, John, I think, we're getting close to an hour. It's a pleasure talking to you and catching up, and, love the insight. Again, thank you very much for coming on, and best of luck with the new SaaS business, and keep us in the loop.
Totally, man. Good talking to you, and yeah, cool speaking. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. See you, John.
See ya. Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching another episode. Like always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and also join the online Facebook group. And again, we're growing like crazy. So I'll see you in the next video.